Welcome back to QT with the Pod. Alright, so first and foremost, thank you again for tuning in. Make sure that you are subscribed to this podcast. Make sure that you're following me on Instagram, and we will jump into today's episode about narcissists. So, as you can tell from the title, this is going to be a positive spin on narcissism. I put too many syllables in there, but narcissism, right? Typically, these people have a bad rep. Like, it's usually, it's not a compliment, typically, to be called a narcissist, right? Because that just means, wow, you're so selfish. You always think of yourself, blah, blah, blah. So when we say this to people, we are not giving them a compliment at all. But I think there are good parts to being a narcissist. And I think there are things that we can learn from narcissists. So just to go over kind of the flow of the show, I'll give like general definition or a general definition and some key identifiers of narcissist. Then we'll talk about, am I a narcissist? We'll hear from some of my friends. Are my friends narcissists? And there's going to be a quiz. I'll link it in the show notes because I am very curious. I want you guys to take this quiz as well and let me know if you are also a narcissist. And then we'll talk about what are some things we should learn from narcissists. So I'm sure we all have that one person that comes to mind when you hear the word narcissist, you're like, oh, that damn Bob, he's such a narcissist. So get that one person in your head, and generally speaking, that person is full of themselves. They have an inflated sense of self-worth. They have a grandiose sense of self-importance. They lack empathy for others. There's an excessive need for admiration. Bob just always needs someone to admire him. Like, Bob, can you chill? These people also think that they deserve special treatment for doing the bare minimum, and they think that they are super unique. Now, when I was reading through these traits, I was like, everyone should feel this way about themselves, which is why I think we all need to learn something from narcissists, because if you don't, grandiose sense of self-importance, yes, you should still feel like you're important, but I can't go and tell somebody you should not feel that important about yourself. Like, who am I to say that? Thinking you deserve special treatment, you should think that you deserve special treatment. Now, it depends on how it's coming off as well, and I think it comes out more when narcissists interact with people close to them, because I don't know. I'm sure I know I've interacted with a narcissist before in real life, out in the outside world, without having a, I guess, close relationship with them. But I just can't imagine somebody actually feeling okay with, you know what, those white women in the Walmarts who did not want to wear a mask. That was a grandiose sense of self-importance and self-worth. So I could see where it happens, but again, that is not common. So full-blown narcissists are not an everyday occurrence at all. So as I was saying, these things can't be bad. So I went to go find a quiz online because I've been called a narcissist before. I've been called selfish before and all these things. So I wasn't surprised at my test results. So as you know, narcissism occurs on a spectrum. So 40 being full-blown narcissist, 0 being not a narcissist. So on a scale of 0 to 40, and I'll break down the quiz for you. 0 to 40, I scored a 22. The average is between 12 and 15. Celebrities often score closer to 18. Narcissists score over 20. And they also linked an article for me to read. They said, because I scored 18 or higher, I may want to check out this article and read some more. So I'll read into that article later on. So along with the score, they give you a breakdown. So the 7 components of narcissism are authority, self-sufficiency, superiority, exhibitionism, exploitiveness, vanity, and entitlement. I scored the strongest in vanity. This is vanity is believing that your abilities, that you are more superior in your abilities or attractiveness compared to others. I take pictures of myself and post them on Instagram. I guess that correlates to that. I think I'm really pretty. And then entitlement is what I scored the lowest in. That's not surprising to me either. Entitled people truly trigger me. So these people, okay, so I was just reading over it. Okay, so these people who score higher in entitlement have unreasonable expectations of favorable treatment or automatic compliance with one's expectations. Yeah, that kind of stuff truly does trigger me. So, with that being said, I scored a 22. I asked my friends to also take this quiz because I'm curious about where they lie on the spectrum. So let's hear from them.
So in looking at my results for this narcissism test, I actually thought I might have scored a little bit higher, but I'm not really surprised at my score. I was surprised by the questions. A lot of the questions were like opposite extremes in regards to like confidence and being a leader. And so it's hard for you to find that middle ground in like a question if it's saying like, I was born to be a leader, or like I feel more comfortable following other people, when most of the time it's like middle ground. So I don't know. I feel like some of the questions were a little too opposite extremes. Compliments don't make me uncomfortable, but I don't seek them out everywhere that I go. I don't feel entitled to them. So, but yeah, I'm not really surprised by my results, but I can definitely see, like with some of those questions, some problematic tendencies.
I just want to quickly piggyback off that response. I agree. These questions really had me like, what? So how the quiz works, if you're not doing it right now or you haven't looked at it, you just choose the statement that you resonate with most. So, for instance, one was, my body is nothing special. I like to look at my body. Okay, so I think that I'm nothing, or I think that I'm something. Like, I would hope that we think we're something. Like, if we don't, let's think we're something. Another one, I don't care about new fads and fashions. The opposite, I like to start new fads and fashions. What about I do like fads and fashions? I don't necessarily care about starting them, but I do care about them. So, and that it was stupid like that. I was very confused. I'm wondering why some of the questions are like that.
So after taking the narcissism survey, I got my test results and I scored 18 out of 40, and it stated that higher scores show higher levels of narcissism. And I thought, okay, so I'm about average. Well, I'm about halfway, which is cool. I didn't think I was that narcissistic. And then it said that U.S. celebrities scored a 17.8. So if I'm higher than that, I must be narcissistic. But that means I do love myself. And that's true in some aspects of my life. In others, it's not. So, it was an interesting quiz.
Okay, I took the narcissistic personality test. I scored a 9 out of 40, which is higher than 35% of the people in the sample who took the test, which I guess means it's lower than 65% of people who took the test. I do not think my results were too surprising. I don't think that I'm narcissistic, but I don't know if narcissistic people think they're narcissistic. But 9 out of 40 seemed pretty low. So I actually felt that it was lower than I thought it would be, just because, I don't know, with the test, you never know how it's going to turn out. But yeah, that was probably the only shocking part. Turns out I'm not a narcissist. Check that off my list of things to check for.
So thank you, friends, for taking that test. And I can definitely say that their numbers sound accurate as well. They definitely align with their personalities and what I know them to be. So yeah, the test itself seems to be pretty accurate. Again, I will leave the link in the show notes so that you can go take the test. So now let's talk about the things that you can learn from narcissists, because we are all ever growing, ever learning. So the first thing we can learn from narcissists is how to live in our truth. My favorite saying is, if you live for their compliments, you'll die by their criticism. Therefore, just meaning like people's words should not hold that much worth and meaning in your life. So narcissists obviously, and I'm talking about the most extreme version of a narcissist, they don't care what you say about them. They're extremely confident in who they are and their abilities. They think they're better than everyone. They're superior. So what you say about them does not affect them at all. So sis, I need you to have the confidence of not only an average white man, but also of a narcissist, okay? And I also know that this is easier said than done. But I think that's something we all need to start practicing. You need to not really care that much what people say about you. Okay. Lesson number 2 that we can learn from them: how to be more assertive. And assertive is different than aggressive. And I think that a lot of people confuse Black women's assertiveness with aggressiveness. And I've had that before. Quick story time. One time I went out to eat with a few of my friends, and they are not Black. And I was asking a question about the menu. So I ordered French toast. So if you order the French toast plate that came with eggs, it was like, I'm making up numbers now, it was like $20. But if you order a side of French toast, which was like the same amount of French toast, it was $5, and then a side of eggs was $2. So I asked the waiter, like, hey, what's the difference between these two? And he explained, like, there's really no difference. I don't know why, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, okay, well, can I just have the French toast side and the eggs instead of getting the plate? Because it doesn't make sense. So he said, no problem. When he walked away, one of my friends at the table said, wow, like, he implied that I was angry. I was making unreasonable demands. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, all I did was ask, why is one cheaper than the other? And can I exchange? So there are people around you based off who you are. They will confuse your assertiveness with aggressiveness. But again, that goes back to not caring what they say. Because in that moment, I explained to my friend, like after we left the restaurant, hey, you made me feel like I was being aggressive. I wasn't. I had my other friend there to support me. Shout out to that queen. She was like, no, she was just stating her opinion. And she got what she wanted. She wasn't aggressive or rude at all. Shout out to you, queen. Now, being assertive, getting what you want, that also ties into having a certain standard for yourself. So you can't be assertive with people if you're just going to take what people give you anyways. But if you know that there's something you want it a specific way, you need to be assertive, state that you want that, or demand it, ask for it, whatever is appropriate for the situation, and get it. And then the last thing we can learn from narcissists is how to accept admiration and compliments. There are so many people who are uncomfortable with receiving compliments. And sometimes when they receive a compliment, they'll return a compliment. So I see you and I'm like, oh, you look really cute in the color yellow. And you're like, oh my God, thank you. You look really cute too in blue. There's no reason to tell me that unless you really mean it. But if it's coming from, oh my God, I'm so uncomfortable with this compliment. Like, what can I say? Just say thank you and keep it moving. Like, sometimes it's okay to receive praise for something that you probably didn't put that much effort into. Because I feel like maybe if you tried to look cute, you're like, oh, okay, somebody noticed. But if you're just being you and someone sees that, appreciates that, values it, and wants to give you a compliment, accept that compliment. So from a quick Google search, just seeing why do people not accept compliments. Typically, people with low self-esteem don't accept compliments because they doubt that they are sincere, and they feel embarrassed and humiliated because they feel like they're being patronized. So that has a lot to do with how one feels in the inside about themselves. So if you don't feel good about yourself in the inside, then when someone compliments you, you're just like, why would they do that? Why would they do that? So yeah, those are my 3 reasons. Just to re-summarize. 1, we need to learn, take other people's opinion of you with a grain of salt. 2, have high expectations and be assertive about those expectations, those boundaries. And then 3, learn how to accept admiration and compliments. Now, if you want to learn or figure out if you are a narcissist, please remember to click that link in my show notes so that you can discover who you truly are. And let me know, am I really the most narcissistic person that I know? Is that how my life is? Is that what it's come to? But again, I'm comfortable with that. I know I'm not a true narcissist, because if I were a narcissist, I would not be making a podcast. I probably wouldn't have friends. I'd probably be mad abusive. I don't know. Anyways, thanks guys for tuning in, chilling with me. Make sure that you do everything that you're supposed to do, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.